Welcome to the Rundown with Dr. Ciarrah, where we discuss all things running. If this is your very first time, then welcome. And if you are not new, then welcome back. Today's episode is about rhabdomyolysis. I know you're probably thinking, what is that? I never even heard of that before. Well, I'm glad you asked. We're going to talk about that just so that you're able to identify what it is if you ever happens to come across it. Being a runner, I just want to make sure that you're informative of the things that are out there, you know, how to identify them and to seek help when necessary. So today I wanted to talk about rhabdomyolysis because recently I was reading an article about a woman who attended a spin class. And after the spin class, she started having some of the symptoms that we'll discuss later. But also the next day after she woke up, she thought that she was experiencing some muscle gain. And then later she went to the emergency room where they were able to properly diagnose her and treat her accordingly to the symptoms that she was having. And if she didn't go to the emergency room, she could have potentially lost her leg. Now in the article, it discussed how she was still doing some rehabilitation because of, you know, everything that took place while she was in the hospital. But I just want to make sure that anybody who's following this page, and if you just so happen to click on it, I just want you all to be informed so that if you experience any of the symptoms that you know what's going on, and then also that you know what to do. I will leave the link below so that you're able to read that same article that I was reading. So what is rhabdomyolysis? It is a very serious syndrome where there is a breakdown in the muscle tissue, and when this occurs, it releases a very damaging protein which is called myoglobin. And once that is released into the body, it can be very damaging to your kidneys, which can potentially lead to kidney failure. So because myoglobin is not typically found in the blood, this protein is very damaging, which can lead to very serious consequences. So some of the symptoms of how it presents would be a very dark Coca-Cola colored urine, the inability to even produce urine, confusion, nausea, vomiting, muscle cramps, the inability to move your legs, confusion. All of these things are typically seen with people who experience rhabdomyolysis. Now, I know that some of those symptoms sound familiar, and you know, you could possibly go out for a run and just experience some nausea, but it's the combination of the symptoms that you want to pay very close attention to. So what causes rhabdomyolysis? Now, there are several things that cause it. We're just going to talk about a few. And the first is the dehydration and extreme heat. Now, those two things in combination with extreme extensive working out is one of the major causes of rhabdomyolysis. Now, the next is if there is a direct injury to the muscle. Now, if there's some type of trauma to that area, or if you've ever heard of a crush syndrome, these things are definite reasons of why rhabdomyolysis may be present if you're experiencing some of the symptoms that we discussed earlier. Now, medications also is something that plays a factor into why you could be experiencing rhabdo. Now, there are some studies and they discuss different medications, one being NSAIDs, one being cholesterols if you have like a statin drug. There are also from like some psychiatric drugs. The list kind of goes on with the drugs. However, they're just kind of a factor. It may not be the primary reason, but it can play a role. In some studies they've seen some correlation between people who've been experiencing rhabdomyolysis and then they've been on certain medications that can play a factor. So for all my runners, maybe you've never heard of this before and you definitely do not want to ever experience it, I want to share with you some ways that you can prevent this. Now, the first is making sure that you have proper hydration. It is so important to make sure that your body is well hydrated prior to your runs. Now, after your runs is just as important as prior to your runs. So after, you want to make sure that you're putting some electrolytes back into your body, some calories. You want to replenish everything that you've just burned off while you were running. You don't want your body to be dehydrated. You don't want to go for your run and then just go on about your business. You have to make sure that you're putting something back into your body after you just ran it all off. Next, you want to make sure that you are not doing any drastic changes in your running routine. It is very important that you gradually increase your running volume. You don't want your body to be in a state of shock. So if one day you're running 1 mile and then the next week you're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to try to run 25 miles for whatever reason. You don't want your body to be in such a state of shock that it doesn't know what's going on. So just be mindful of how you're trying to increase. You want it to be a gradual progression so that you can build your body up. So another reason which I feel like is very important in 2021, especially with COVID, you want to make sure that you are not running after you've been sick, after you've had the flu, and you definitely don't want to do it. I mean, I'm sure you don't even have the capacity to do it while you're running. But the most important reason is because typically while you're sick, you are dehydrated. Your body is trying to find a way to fight off everything, and you may not even feel like drinking. You probably don't feel like eating. So it is very crucial that you kind of give yourself a couple of days after you've just been sick so that your body is able to replenish everything before you're like, all right, I feel okay, let me go run. Just make sure you're well hydrated before you do so. Now, you don't want to overtrain. Now, I talked about the drastic changes, but you also want to make sure that you're not doing too much. You have to incorporate rest days into your running routine. It can't be, I'm running 7 days a week, 30 miles a day. That's just not healthy. Unless this is something that you've been training for a very long time, but you even still, if you are an experienced runner, you still have to have a rest day. And a rest day could be different for everybody. On your rest day, it could just mean that you're maybe doing cross training, or it just means that you're doing a light jog, a light run. But in some capacity, your body has to have some type of rest in order for you to keep being rejuvenated for your next runs. So this next point I feel like is very important and crucial, especially if you're a runner and while you're running, is that you have to know your body and you have to listen to your body. And I understand maybe you're trying to hit a new PR, or you're just trying to hit a goal. You're trying to run for like the third or fourth time for the week. Whatever your goal may be, I think that is great if you're able to accomplish that. But at the same time, if your body is like, no, we are shutting down, we cannot physically do this, you need to listen, because maybe that's a warning sign for something else. So you just have to know your body and know the difference between, okay, this is different. I haven't been able to push myself this far in my previous runs, and I'm just gonna go for it today, versus your body telling you, we are not physically able to do this. Your body is shutting down and we need to stop. So just pay attention, listen to your body, be in tune with your body, and know how your body is communicating with you. And that will then you'll be able to kind of judge and see, okay, what do I need to do? Am I able to keep pushing to the finish line, or do I need to stop because something is seriously wrong? So if you do happen to experience rhabdomyolysis, then you're like, okay, well, what do I do? So the treatment is early treatment, and then also rehydrating the body. You want to replenish those fluids as quickly as you possibly can, because like I stated in the very beginning of this video, one of the end results to having rhabdomyolysis could be kidney failure. So you want to make sure that you're replenishing your body as quickly as possible so that the kidney doesn't experience too much damage. All right, everybody, well, we've reached the end of this video. I hope that it was very informative for you. I hope that you learned something new. Now that we talked about the symptoms, preventing causes, treatment, that if you do ever experience it, you will know how to identify it and you'll know what to do. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Leave your comments below if you have any questions. I will answer them. And then we will see you next time on the Rundown with Dr. Ciarrah, where we discuss everything running. Bye.